Hello there, my name is Gambit, and I want to tell you all about the greatest roguelite ever made. In my opinion, of course. Now, I've played Enter the Gungeon for a long time. Maybe like 7 years now. And to be fair, it is by far one of the best roguelites that just honestly keeps on delivering every time I play it, and is honestly never really a dull experience. Now, I consider myself a bit of a roguelite expert after all. I've played like many roguelites. However, Enter the Gungeon was actually my very first roguelite. And honestly, that's the one game that introduced me to all of these other roguelites I've ever played. And honestly, I think it was honestly one of the best decisions I've ever made. Time for a history lesson. So, you see, the first time I've ever actually heard about Enter the Gungeon was from a TV show on Disney XD, or technically it wasn't Disney XD, it was called Polaris Primetime. And there was a certain section of that show where they did something called a player select, where they would choose one of the YouTubers on the selection, and they would showcase their game. Enter the Gungeon was actually one of those games they showcased when it was in its early stages, and I realized, I started watching it, and I was like, man, I actually really like this game. I wonder if I'd ever try it myself, if I ever found the chance to actually play it. And lo and behold, it eventually appeared. So, one day I was scrolling through Nintendo eShop and it just happened to show up on the page for deals. I'm like, what? This game's real? I'm gonna get that game actually. So I purchased the game, took it back, or actually no, it wasn't a, what am I saying? It wasn't even a physical copy. Anyway, I bought the game, downloaded it, and oh my gosh, this game introduced me to so much fun I haven't had in a game for a while. So anyway, without further ado, let's actually get into the real part of the video. My plan is to structure this video into 3 sections, where we go into 3 different topics about the game. I want to sprinkle in a little bit of clips as well from my gameplay, along with like a gameplay with my friend. So we're going to have a little bit of a mix of both. I'm going to lead it up to 3 things. 1, game design. 2, content and bosses. And 3, the synergies, which I will get into later. That is a secret for later. But anyway, let's get into the video. Let's start off with the design of Enter the Gungeon. It has an amazing, unique art style that I really like because it's kind of referencing old retro arcade games, which actually, if you know, there is actually an Enter the Gungeon arcade game. Pretty cool. I want to play it really badly. But it is also has dodge roll mechanics, like referencing Dark Souls, which yes, it does have Dark Souls references. Anyway, as well as it also actually adds a lot of bullet hell elements, which is like one of the reasons why you have to really time a lot of your dodges, and just it's overall a skill kind of based game. But also, on top of that, every single action you make in every room is completely up to you. If you get hit, it's your fault. If you manage to no-hit run a boss, congratulations, you get rewarded with something called a master round, which gives you a full heart container. Honestly, pretty cool item. Pretty cool. Moving on. There's also another way out. If you have absolutely nowhere to go, nothing to do, and you literally know you cannot do anything except take damage, they give you these little handy blue bullets called blanks. These things basically just shockwave the room to get rid of every single bullet in the room, and you can even use them to find secret rooms, which is another hidden feature of the game. Which also, let's get into that actually.
What? Why is my run so lucky? I'm sharing my screen right now. You need to see this. Why is my run so lucky? I'm saving the last 5 minutes, bro. That's crazy luck. I mean, yeah, I'm getting hit a lot, but bro, look at this. I have 3 keys on the first floor. I didn't have to buy a single key yet. I just started. This is how far I've gone.
Damn.
This guy's got some of the best loot in the game already, and it's on the first floor, bro. What happened to my luck? Watch. Alright, let's make a joke. Okay. Let's just say, for example, an item will drop at the end of this room.
So secret rooms are basically like these hidden rooms in the Gungeon. They can technically be anywhere, mainly in the shopkeeper rooms and treasure rooms is where they mainly spawn. They can have anywhere from just simple HP or Guan stones to chests, keys, and if you're lucky, they can hold secret NPCs, which is actually pretty cool. So every floor in Into the Gungeon is actually randomized. You may not know that from the first glance, but every single floor generation is randomized. Every single room in the game is also technically not randomized, as in every single room is designed to look a certain way, and on top of that, they're designed with specific enemies to be in that room, so that way it can either complement the room with harder challenges, or even just give you a simple break from the whole chaos that the game will give you. Now, let's move on to Section 2, actually one of my favorite sections I was ready to talk about today. Enter the Gungeon's got a lot of diverse weapons in every single run, and honestly, every time I play the game, I can't get bored, really. The game's generation is so fun, the guns you get are randomized and still are so fun to use. There's never really a bad gun, per se. But other than that, there are actually, in Enter the Gungeon, there are 8 playable Gungeoneers. Technically 9 if you count the cultist, but technically it's only in co-op you can actually play them. But either way, I'm going to break this down easily. I'll give you the name of the character, a quick description of the character, and then we go on from there. The Convict, high risk, high reward. The Hunter, free items, and also you get it's a good boy. Come on, it's a good boy. The Marine, probably the easiest character to start with in the game. They have probably the best starting equipment. The Pilot, honestly very good utility-wise, but honestly kind of lacking when it comes to starter weapon. The Cultist, you can now play with a friend so you're not lonely. The Bullet, the best one. The Robot, if you hate yourself, you'll hate this guy way more, trust me. The Paradox, completely randomized guns and starting weapons and items, so it could be pretty fun to play, or it could be an absolute nightmare. And last, but certainly not least, the Gunslinger, the best one. So most of the Gungeoneers actually don't affect gameplay. A few technically do, because of their passive items, but normally the game kind of breaks down to which guns you're going to find, and if the game's going to even reward you with some good items or not. Sometimes the game can be very, very not friendly. And this can be the difference between a make or break run, such as having the Corsair, probably my least favorite gun in the game. Now let's move on to the bosses. I'll give you a quick description of the boss, since there's about 3 on every floor, and every floor they're randomly chosen between one of them, so you'll only fight one every floor. The first floor, the Bullet King, probably the hardest boss on the first floor, but honestly they're not too difficult because it's still the first floor. The Gatling Goal, funny burb. The Trigger Twins, probably the easiest bosses in-game, and honestly, the only thing you have to worry about is just dodging the bullet patterns at the very... it's not even that hard, they have pretty simple patterns. Second floor, Amoconda. This is the worst boss that has been ever made, and it should never see the light of day again. May it rot in bullet hell. The Beholster. Honestly, it's a pretty cool Doom reference, and I actually really enjoyed the boss fight. The Gorgon. Anyway, now we're on to the third floor. The Cannonball Rog. Bowling. The Mind Flayer. Actually, this is actually the third, the easiest third floor boss for me to fight. I've never really had too much of a problem with him. I heard a lot of people do, actually. The Treadnought. Now we're on to the fourth floor. The Kill Pillars. They are actually my favorite boss in the game, simply because it's a very, a unique fight. I actually really like how they work in the game. It's such a cool mechanic to, as soon as all 3 other pillars die, the 4th one becomes way stronger and does, a different bullet pattern completely different from the rest of them. The Wallmonger. Honestly, this is actually the coolest boss mechanic in the game, where you're stuck in a room and you can't go, around the boss to avoid them. You have to move downward continuously during the fight. The High Priest. Actually, this boss is actually more fun to me than Cannonball Rog, and it's got a way better pattern. The 5th floor. This is the only main floor boss that does not change every game, and it's the High Dragon. This is literally one of the funnest final floor bosses I've ever fought, and I mean, technically it's the only one, but it's so unique and has such a cool pattern design for every single attack it does. It's honestly not even a dull fight. Let's move on to secret bosses now. Blockner. Honestly, very simple and easy patterns. I've never had much of a problem with them. The Door Lord. Honestly, this Well, there goes an easy boss. Anyway, the Blobulord. Why? The Old King. Well, there goes my no-hit run. Good game, y'all. The Resourceful Rat. This is my nemesis, actually. Agunim. Honestly, I actually really love the design of this boss, and since it's related to like the bullets passed, it's pretty cool. Especially because it's the only boss in the game that actually has voice acting. 10 out of 10. The Lich. Now, out of all the secret bosses, this one is by far my favorite secret boss. I love fighting the Lich, honestly, and I would do it more if bullet hell wasn't such a hassle to get through. Alright, let's get into these synergies. So, one of the best features about this game is literally the synergies. I mean, you can have a gun or item, and if there are specific ones, they will trigger a combo kind of where it'll buff your item and it becomes really strong, or it'll just completely change the gun you use and how you use it. So, that's fun to look forward to. Honestly, this is one of the many ways that Gungeon is just so unique because of how these synergies work together. Like, okay, let me give you an example. This is a weapon called the Serious Cannon. And you know what? Let me just show you this clip here. Hang on.
3 screaming men? I can't take it seriously. How are you supposed to take this seriously? Oh, there he goes. I'm gonna save the clip. I'm saving that. I'm putting that in my video.
Well, yeah, basically synergies can do that. Now, honestly, synergies can range from such a there's a wide range to it, honestly. It could just be from simple buffs to like little reload speed upgrades, damage upgrades, or you can go from that to ranging to dual wielding a bullet and a shell at the same time that shoot bullets that shoot guns and shells that shoot shotguns. Honestly, I think it's like cool that synergies can even change the gun's appearance. It's like one of the best parts of the game and why it gives Gungeon the Gungeon such a unique playstyle compared to like most roguelites where it's like collect items, get stronger, then collect more items that make you stronger. It's progression, but the buffs that come along with synergies allow you to have a more fun way to progress, especially because not all guns are bad in the game. There's like very few guns that are actually pretty bad, and that's a good thing. That like there's some that are like the basics, and then there's some that like just zoom past it. Because like even a gun like the pea shooter, which you literally get in like the tutorial, has a synergy and it shoots like powerful attacks once you get its synergy unlocked. I think it is such a cool thing that they added to the game, and honestly, it keeps changing the way that Enter the Gungeon is played. Like, even the set bonus, there's sometimes, like, if you collect all the 4 pieces of the rat, you can become the Resourceful Rat. If you collect all 4 pieces of the Gun Knight armor, you become a Gun Knight. It's such a cool little thing that it can just change the way you play the game, and it's honestly one of my favorite parts of Enter the Gungeon still. So yeah, that was what I want to talk about today. I think, honestly, if you have a chance, check out Enter the Gungeon. It is an outstanding game. Exit the Gungeon, a pretty good sequel. I prefer Enter the Gungeon over Exit the Gungeon, but it's not bad. And the sequel to Enter the Gungeon is actually coming out very, very soon. So I'm hopefully going to check that out very soon as it drops. But thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this wonderful explanation I've done today. I feel like I had a lot to get through, and I hope that I shortened it enough to hopefully get through as much of it as I can. But yes, I have now officially been deemed the final Gambit Games. I will still go by Gambit Games most of the time, but this is just so I can diversify my channel a bit. Thank you all for watching, and bye-bye.